Hello, and what's up, guys? It's me, your girl, CatCorelli, and this is episode 256 of my Cat Vibe series, and today we're painting an afternoon in Vietri Sul Mare, which is a town in Italy, apparently. Sul Mare basically means on sea. Vietri Sul Mare. I guess I really need to paint some urban landscapes because I really kind of feel like it. And I have a few ideas on how I might go about it a little pretty soon. I am exploring a few approaches. Let's put it this way. In this particular painting, I kind of went with multiple options as far as brush sizes, and for the most part I was using a broader bright brush. This is a 6 probably. I was using it for the sky, but it's not a large panel, so I wasn't really going for something bigger, or maybe I just didn't feel like I wanted to really go to for a bigger brush. But I think looking forward, I might actually explore bigger sizes for certain reasons. This was a fun painting to paint. I gotta say though that I guess next time that I'm gonna be gessoing my wood panels with Zinsser, what is it called? Zinsser primer or something like that. I don't remember the exact name. Zinsser primer, I believe it is. Stain remover, remover, and primer. I probably gotta add some marble dust to it because it just doesn't have enough tooth, quite frankly. Just pure Zinsser, when you use it for gesso, it gives a good thick coat, but it is so smooth, it's difficult to paint. I almost get the feeling that the paint doesn't really adhere to the surface, so I want to give it a little bit more tooth. Another thing I wanted to note is that in the future, perhaps I want to try to kind of experiment with texture. And what I mean by that is the texture of the gesso, because you kind of can see the brush strokes, the rough brush strokes from when I was gessoing this wood panel. And I kind of like this effect. I'm thinking of exploring this venue a little more and actually taking it a notch further. Maybe pushing the envelope all the way up to see just what makes me feel comfortable, because I kind of like it that you have sometimes these almost dents in the wood, or cracks, not really cracks in the gesso, but like different layers and brush strokes in the gesso. And I'm deliberately not smoothing it out because it just gives some interesting effects. I like to keep it rough, so this is deliberate. This is not that I could not smoothen out the gesso, the painting surface. I could have done this. And I know that many painters, they prefer to have a completely smooth surface, especially when they're working on wood panels. I kind of like it when the surface is not really even, when there are brush strokes left over from in the gesso, little dents and little creases and channels and stuff like that. I think it adds an extra dimension to the painting. And the trick here is that every time that I gessoed a wood panel, I had completely no idea what exact painting will I paint on that particular wood panel. But it's a little bit of a challenge, and on the other hand, it kind of keeps it interesting. I don't know how to explain this. It's like an element of surprise. You pick up a wood panel because now you have an idea for a painting, and this wood panel has been gessoed a month ago or maybe 2 months ago, and it was just laying around there, and you pick it up and you start painting, and you're like, oh yeah, I know, so I'm gonna paint this landscape. And you start painting, and you have a specific weave of these brush strokes in the gesso, and little cracks and little creases and that kind of thing. And sometimes it kind of gets in the way, and sometimes it helps emphasize whatever you're doing. That's the idea, at least. But the point is that I think I kind of like this idea of a textured surface as opposed to a completely smooth surface. Completely smooth surface feels kind of boring, I don't know, or bland. And but I want to give it a little bit more too, so I think in the future I'll be mixing in some marble dust specifically into the Zinsser primer that I'm using for priming, for gessoing my wood panels. This will not, maybe I'll try it out on my canvases as well. Just add it to my Gamblin gesso, add some extra marble dust and see what happens. Just because why not? But anyways, you can see, I'm painting this landscape. After I signed this painting, I did maybe a couple of corrections, or maybe one single correction. I've changed the tone of the tents. These blue tents to the right, I guess these are like street cafes or something like that. And I had basically the same shade of blue on all of them. And then after I signed the painting, I realized that actually the farthest tent is supposed to be a little lighter. And then as we move closer to the foreground, they're supposed to get darker. I mean, otherwise you don't have a sense of distance. So that was probably the only correction that I've added. And I will add a picture, a still frame, in the end of this video. I was signing it in the middle of the night, or at least it was after dark, so I couldn't take a picture. And generally speaking, I'm going to take pictures of all of my winter paintings, because what's basically happening is I'm painting a project in several sessions, several shorter sessions, and then oftentimes I leave the signing for another day. And yeah, I don't account for that. I just paint the sides basically and paint and do the signing. But it usually happens on a different day. 2 days later, sometimes 7 days later, like with little miniatures, it happens occasionally. And oftentimes it happens late, or it happens, after dark or something like this. I mean, it's winter after all. So then, if the weather is good, and if there's some sunshine, and if it's fairly warm, then I can take that picture, the picture of the already signed painting, and actually post it to my Instagram or post it here. But it's been winter, basically, for a while now. Days are getting warmer, and there are more sunny days. So I think pretty soon I'll be opening up my garage again. Garage/studio. I'm gonna clean it up big time. I have my easel there. I'll start dragging my easel out into the open. Maybe I'll get me a French easel even, and start painting outside. I have this idea, like I was talking on this channel about that, I used to make these videos by the bonfire. I'm thinking that maybe I could start getting out to those locations and painting, not necessarily those locations, but painting just whatever I'm working on, painting it just outside. Kind of like in the middle of the day kind of thing, somewhere in the shade. So I get some even daylight. Just because, painting outdoors is kind of more pleasant in a way. or maybe just because I got kind of bored of painting in the same exact location inside of my garage/studio throughout this fall and winter. And so that's something I'm gonna do. They're gonna be warmer days, so what I'm saying is that I will take actual pictures of my already finished paintings. I've painted quite a few paintings this winter. I was trying to be productive. Sometimes I was not so very productive, but overall I think I'm moving at a reasonable pace. At least for this style of painting. I'm not rushing anything. I'm trying not to drag. I'm painting basically every day. Even if I don't have enough time, I'm trying to paint at least for 20, 30 minutes. But, consistency is key in a lot of things. But at the same time, I am mixing and working on the upcoming album every day as well, or almost every day. And there is a lot of very boring work that needs to be done, as far as various adjustments and things that have to be done in every project, in every song. Some of it is more creative, but generally speaking, this stage of production kind of gets a little boring. When the vocals are recorded, then after that it's basically down to a grind to me, in my view. And there's just a lot of stems need to be adjusted, and this needs to be compressed, and I gotta watch out for peaks over here, and then make sure that those frequencies don't poke out in the vocals, and that the kick is consistent, and that the snare doesn't sound like crap, that the guitars don't lose the bottom end, that kind of thing. And because it's a fairly long album, I end up doing a lot of repetitive things. So I try to kind of switch between the activities, going between mixing and painting. I'm trying to avoid repetitive brain-numbing activities, because brain-numbing is not something that I can afford. You can't get you can't get high-value production if you kind of start to zone out of it. That's my point. It has to be a reasonable approach, but if you feel, at least that's my opinion, the way I feel about it is that if I feel that I start to fall into some kind of rut, and I kind of stop thinking, that means that I'm kind of zoning out of whatever I'm working on. And it's kind of helpful, when you're doing really, really mundane, routine stuff. Like, for example, leveling out bass stems. So I had to go literally on every song, I had to go into the bass stems and make sure that all the peaks are fairly consistent. Because at the time when the bass lines were recorded, because of the specifics of this bass guitar, the waveforms didn't turn out very consistent. So there's a lot of manual stuff that has to be done. Sometimes you gotta chop out a little chunk and kind of increase the volume on that little bit, and then move on to the next chunk, and then piece it together back again, instead of using compression. Sometimes it's a lot of this kind of really boring mechanistic work that needs to be done. And at times like that, I usually just listen to podcasts. I listen to Scott Ritter, or to the Military Summary channel. That's one of my favorite channels nowadays. Military Histories, that's another good channel that I highly recommend. Tour of Duty, Ask the Inspector, that's one of my favorite podcasts. It comes out every Friday with Scott Ritter. And Danny Haifong has a wonderful channel on YouTube. So I just, I listen to something like that and do these kind of very boring things. When I'm filming my painting process, I mostly don't listen to anything just because I can't, because I'm using my phone for a camera, and I can't play anything simultaneously on my phone when I'm filming. So, but that's okay, because I actually prefer silence. Just, silence or ambient, whatever the ambience is, when I paint. And that's in part why I want to, once it gets warmer, I want to start getting out and painting outside, regardless of am I doing an actual plein air, or am I just painting whatever project outdoors. I like the ambient noise, the birds chirping and the wind and the rustling of the grass and leaves and this kind of thing. It kind of just relaxes the mind and allows to be very productive. At least I find it very productive, very helpful. So, but there's a few things I think I'll be doing a little different looking forward. Is first of all, I want to start adding some marble dust. Second, I'm actually contemplating moving into trying out acrylics as well, heavy body acrylics, and picking up a palette knife. Because there are things that I really feel that need to be painted in thicker, broader brush strokes with lots of texture, and with sharper edges, and with lots of paint, like thicker paint and texturized surfaces and this kind of thing. I want to lean into that, but I don't really want to do that in oils. At least I don't quite feel that I want to do that with oils right now. I want to try to do that in acrylics first, and then maybe I can apply some of those approaches to oils as well. In whichever case, I'm just toying with concepts and trying out things and feeling out how different mediums, how different paints, how do they behave on what surfaces, and I kind of like the effect, Now, I want to remind you that all the paintings that I'm painting, that you see me painting on this channel, are available for purchase. If you want a price, reach out to me in the comment section or at ladycatherinecorelli@gmail.com. Ask me a question and I'll reply. I'll give you the price. And with that being said, thank you very much for being on my channel. I appreciate you being here. In a moment when this video is finished, I will show you a still frame of the painting, the way it turned out. There we go. There we go. Once again, I'll take a different picture of this painting in normal daylight. But that's going to happen a little later, not right now. All right. So with that being said, thank you very much for being with me, for watching this episode. I appreciate y'all. I love you all, and you will see me or hear me on the next episode. Meow.